Assalamualaikum and good day to everyone. My name is Mohamad Izzuddin bin Abu Bakar, metric number CB17205. The main purpose of this video is to explain about how the SDLC works in developing software or even an application and the importance. To have better understanding of how importance or how the SDLC works, let's us move on to the real life scenario for us upcoming IT graduates from UMP. For example, you have decided to do your internship in a company located somewhere around Cyberjaya, for example, which specialize in developing a software or even developing an application for their respective client. There, your project manager has assigned you to take part in developing the actual software for your client. You cannot simply jump into development phase. You need to have a proper way to start your development process. You need to have a proper guidance on how you should develop the software for your client. This is where the SDLC process comes in handy. There are 6 stages in software development lifecycle. The first one is the planning. The second one is the analysis. The third one is the design. The fourth one is the implementation. The fifth one is the testing and integration, and the last one is deployment and the maintenance. Let us move on to the explanation of the first stage of SDLC, which is planning. Okay, the first phase of SDLC is called the planning. This phase is where all the relevant information is being collected from the customer to build the software or even an application. In this phase 2, the business analyst and also the project manager will set up a meeting with the client to discuss, to collect all the relevant information from the customer, such as what the customer actually wants to build, who is the target user of the software, and lastly, the main purpose of developing the software. Okay, we move on to the second phase of the SDLC process, which is called the analysis. After all the requirements gathering is being done in phase 1, an analysis is being conducted to check the feasibility of the development of a product. Feasibility is actually about how easy it is, how difficult it is to develop a product to the respective client. After all the requirements gathering is being clearly understood, the SRS, or also known as Software Requirement Specification documents, is created. The documents must be clearly understood by the developers and also must be reviewed by the customer for their future reference. Okay, we move on to the third phase of the SDLC phase, which is called the design. The design phase starts by turning all the software requirement specification SRS into a design plan, design document, which is called software design document, which is called SDD. Then all the stakeholders will review this SDD document and give some feedback, some suggestion. It is also important to document, to record all the input from the stakeholder. Failure at this stage of development will result in total loss, total collapse of the project that was initially planned. Okay, we move on to the fourth stage of the SDLC phases, which is called the implementation. In this phase, this is where the software product takes shape. All the developers involved will start to code the software referring to the specification documents that was sent to them in the previous phases and start to connect the software to the database product that was developed by the database admin. We move on to the fifth stage of the SDLC, which is called the testing and integration. This is where the qualities, the functionality of the developed software are tested to ensure that the developed software meets the initial business goal that was set by the client or other various business stakeholders. It might involve some iterative process where the tester test some components in the developed software and find some problem with it. He or she then will notify the developers to fix the problem as soon as possible and then test the software from scratch, as the correction might have impact some other functionalities in the software. At the end of this phase, a fully validated software are ready for final release to the client. Okay, we move on to the last stage in the SDLC. It is called the deployment and maintenance. As for the deployment, once the software is fully tested, fully verified, it is deployed in the production environment, or first UAT, or also known as user acceptance test, is conducted depending on the customer expectation. As for the maintenance, once the software product is deployed in the production environment, the maintenance is conducted to ensure that intended users can use the software. If there is some issue, some problem with the software, it must be correct, it must be fixed as soon as possible. If there is some enhancement to the software, it will be taken care of the responsible developers. We can use all the phases in SDLC as a guidance for us software engineers to deliver a good quality software to our client. Thank you.